So thanks for joining us today as we talk about solutions for sellers nervous to sell because we know that it's that market and it is very, very difficult. So if you will, throw in the chat where you are an agent at. And if you are listening to this live or if you are listening to the re-recording, I would love to have in the comments where you do real estate at, so we can kind of know what markets we have represented and all of that good information. So let's dive in. The fastest way, this is a key motto that I live by, the fastest way to build confidence is through knowledge and experience. Now, sometimes we gain a lot of knowledge to dive in and gain more experience around that subject. Sometimes we gain a lot of experience and that's how we get knowledge around that subject. So this is a little bit of knowledge to give you a little bit more experience. Sometimes we need one or the other to also gain confidence in what we're doing. And that's what we're here to help you do. So this is a little bit about me. Me and my husband, Darren, we have 5 kids. I am a real estate agent in the Salt Lake market and Salt Lake City, Utah. I've been in real estate for almost 12 years now. So I've seen, I got in when the market had crashed in 2000. Oh, how many years ago was that? 2000. I mean, it was like 2009 when I got in, when I got licensed, but I had been kind of dabbling a little bit before that in things too. So it's been fun times. It's been definitely a roller coaster and a journey, mostly uphill. And now we're in this crazy market where inventory is low and there's so many predictions around what is happening and going to happen. But in the end, our duty as real estate agents is to always serve our clients. So at Real Estate Listing Masters, we teach and train on listing, marketing, and the process all around marketing listings, how to help you serve your sellers better, how to help your sellers be more engaged and involved in the process as well. And also in doing all of these things, it naturally boosts property sales because of the things that we do, and working with appraisers and stuff as well. So with all of those things, that naturally in the nature of how we do things and our commissions also gives us a little bit of a pay raise. So that's what we train on, is just how to help people boost their businesses overall. This is our roadmap to sold that's available for all of our clients to use. That kind of just goes through that process of selling the property. And we train on all of these individual pieces as well. These are a lot of what our trainings, our free biweekly trainings are also, sorry, I never can remember, is biweekly is twice a week. So bi-monthly, twice a month?
Yeah, bi-monthly.
Thanks. Okay, so bi-monthly trainings, we talk around a lot of these subjects as well and give you tidbits of information to always help you be able to grow and develop your business. So let's talk about some of these solutions for sellers who are nervous to sell, because there's a lot of them. And with rightfully so, right? I mean, me as a real estate agent have been so grateful that I've got my house already, and that I'm not I'm not so determined to sell and buy something else somewhere because it's just a difficult process right now. But there are people out there who want to do it, and sometimes they just need a little bit more education. Sometimes they need to know that they have solutions available to them on the back end, and they don't necessarily need to hear from their neighbor what their neighbor sold their house for and how many offers they got, because that's really, really stressful. So a process that I've taken on my side of things is to educate my clients. And just, I've been doing this for a long time, even before COVID, but then especially when COVID happened, I started doing a lot more Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, and really just sharing real live stories and information and solutions to the situations and problems that have come up with my clients and my transactions, to share that with people, to know that there's always a solution and that somebody has their back. And so that's what I always encourage, is that we as real estate agents are just being educators out there, and you're going to be able to touch people who need that help and service, and paint yourself as the expert and the person who is able to do that for them. So one of the things that we're seeing with flexibility in this market is that buyers have a lot of flexibility. Buyers know that they have to come in and be competitive, and part of them being competitive is having flexibility. And so they're offering short-term leasebacks. Some of them are long-term leasebacks. Now, the two differences here is the short-term leaseback is typically said to be less than 60 days. And that's a lending compliance thing. And so that's something that you want to work with and make sure that the lender has that right product, because if they're lending on the house and then they could get a short-term lease back agreement back for longer than 60 days, that could cause problems in underwriting. So make sure you have those conversations, that they're set up for those right things and that the lender's on board with everything so that you don't run into issues. But that's the difference really between short and long-term. Long-term doesn't mean that it has to be 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, anything like that. It just means longer than 60 days. A long-term lease back typically is going to be an investor. I have an investor right now trying to purchase one of my clients' homes. We haven't put it on the market, and so that's why we don't have an agreement yet, as she's going back and forth about what she wants to do. But he does have that flexibility to give her a lot longer than just 60 days to be able to be in that property. Okay, another option that is it's been a really great go-to. It's starting to be more difficult as well, though, is getting them a contract to build, getting our sellers on a contract to build, because that gives them flexibility in the time frame, right? So with the market the way that it is, and it has been, I've had several buyers be able to go under contract and then not have to sell their house until it gets closer to when the house is being completed. Now, because of that flexibility, they still can start to market the house a couple of months before the new house is going to be completed, because with that time frame and with the flexibility that buyers have right now and are willing to give, it's a really, really great opportunity to line those time frames up and have a little bit of that flexibility at the end so that sellers aren't having to move twice. If a seller does want to sell their house and build something, it's still a great opportunity to get them under contract to build and then help them sell their house. That shortens the time frame as well, that they're trying to find a short-term rental while the house is being built. It might offer them a little bit of flexibility and the security that their house is already sold. They've got the money to put it into another home as well. Now, for first-time home buyers, if somebody has never bought a house and they're trying in this market, I just did a video the other day where just talking about, I don't know for certain that this market is for first-time home buyers. And the only reason for that being is that first-time home buyers a lot of times have to build up that down payment. And so now not only are they having to come up with their down payment and earnest monies, but they're also having to come up with that overage that we're seeing in the market where people are offering highest and best. So it can be a really, really difficult thing for a first-time homebuyer to get in, but a contract to build could be a great option for them as well. If they're able to get in on something, go under contract, get that property built, then they should be locked in and be able to wait until that property is finished. So that could be a great first-time home buyer thing too. Now, the thing around building right now that you want to ask questions and talk about and look at is just the supply expenses. We've heard stories where builders have come back and said, hey, we were under contract at this price, but now it's going to cost more to build your house because of all the prices. And so you want to make sure that those conversations are on the table and you know what to expect going into the build so that you don't have hiccups along the way. Okay, flexible settlement is another thing. I've actually got a client who's under contract right now to buy something with a flexible settlement. Flexible settlement is different than a leaseback because this doesn't say that, hey, we're going to close on this date and then do a leaseback, whether it's a $0 or you assign a value to it. Flexible settlement just says, hey, we're under contract. You're for sure going to sell your house. I need X amount of time to be able to either find something else, make a plan B, whatever the case may be. And so flexible settlement also could fit in if your sellers are building. because sometimes that date moves just a little bit when you're getting near completion. So flexible settlement says, hey, we're under contract to sell the house. That's going to happen no matter what. It's just going to happen between June 1st and June 30th, for example. And I'm going to give you, there's in Utah, we have a specific addendum for it that says, I'm going to give you X amount of time, X amount of notice to be able to, you know, get all of your paperwork in order and settlement and closing and back end things figured out. And so it's usually 10 to 14 days notice that we give on a flexible settlement type of thing. So the other thing that we have is contingent on the seller finding a home. Now this is a reverse thing from contingent on the buyer X, Y, and Z, okay? This is an addendum. I don't see it used as often, but this is going to give the seller ultimate security that somebody is interested in buying their house, but the seller has a certain amount of time to find a house. Now, typically when you have a contract, the seller is locked in on that contract and there's penalties for canceling the contract. The contingent on the seller finding a home contract or agreement addendum gives that seller the flexibility that if they don't find something, that they're able to cancel the contract for sale and not have any penalties on that cancellation from their side and from their standpoint. So it does give a little bit more peace of mind for the seller, but it might be a little bit more difficult for the buyer. This might let the buyer also keep their options open a little bit more. And so maybe they're going to find something else and move on, depending on how committed they are to purchasing your home. So I think that's why we see this one the least amount. But if you've got a seller who is absolutely like, no, I am not selling my house until I find a house to move into or have a backup plan, this could be a good thing to use because you can put the house on the market. They can feel more comfortable with the process and know that they're protected throughout the whole thing. So any questions so far?
Nope, not at all. I was going to mention a lot of the builders are demanding that the house be under contract before they sign the contract to build.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's a couple of exceptions, but most of the ones I've worked with in the last year have demanded that the house be under contract before you can write your purchase agreement with the builder.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up because I was going to mention that actually. I had it in my sub notes that they're somewhere on my desk now. You are absolutely right. You want to know the terms of the contract to build because exactly like you just said, a lot of builders are now saying you have to have your house on the market within 30 days and it has to be under contract in 60 to 90 days. And every builder is different in what their requirements are, but you are absolutely right that they're starting to also want the house to be sold. Now, in doing this, this might be an option where you use some sort of a leaseback agreement with the contract to build as well. But again, give some of that flexibility. It might also be a good idea to reach out to other agents in your area. I know here in Salt Lake, we have several forums that a lot of agents have some type of an executive style option or Airbnb or even just rentals. A lot of them are starting to do not necessarily the full 12 months. They'll do shorter time periods because there's a lot of people in this situation where they just need a few months to be able to sell their house and get into whatever's next, whether they're relocating here, they're already local, they're making plans to do other things. Exactly right. Okay, how do you start the conversation of all of these things? Because that can be a really difficult thing too, to let everybody know. You don't know who's thinking of selling. You don't know who's, going to bed every night thinking, oh, I wish I had a different house. I wish I had an office. I wish I had this or that, especially after COVID. The number one thing home buyers are searching for now is home office space. So you could have a previous client or just a seller in general who is wanting to purchase something else, but they're so nervous about the market. So here are some great ways to start the conversation of these solutions that you have. Number one, I would send an email to your database and send them some of these options, exactly what we just talked about. come up with some options and outline some scenarios that you can send in an email that you can post on a blog. Would be a great way to get that out and repurpose that information as well. But start that conversation, start planting those seeds. You can call past clients to check in. Just call them and say, hey, how's everything treating you? Isn't this market crazy? You don't even have to call them and say, hey, are you thinking of selling? You can just have that conversation, and you'd be surprised. I mean, every time I do it, people ask me how the market is, just because they know I'm in real estate. I've built a really great relationship with 99% of my clients. And so when I call them, I genuinely am interested in checking on them. But it always comes up of how the market is going. I was listing a property in a neighborhood where I had a couple of clients, and I was there doing the photo shoot in the morning, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have a few minutes. I'm going to go pop by a couple of these clients really fast. And I did, just to say hi. And they opened the door and they're like, oh my gosh. And they got this look on their face, like, and like, we can't believe you're standing here. And she said, I've needed to call you. And she said, my husband, and there was boxes and bags all by the front door. And she goes, he's leaving for a new job today, but we don't want to sell the house yet because the kids are still in school. We've just needed to call you. So you just never know what's going on in people's lives, and especially with this past year of craziness too, that a simple phone call can lead to a whole lot that you never know. But if people know that you have solutions for things, you're going to be their go-to. Social media live videos are awesome. I do these on Facebook and Instagram. When I do them on Facebook, I will save them in my video roll, and then I can have my video editor add in my logo and my name and phone number. It's a very simple thing to do. If you need help, let me know. But and then I repurpose that, and I will repost that as an Instagram video, and then also on LinkedIn, I've used those as well. So it's a very simple tool to be able to talk and get the information out. If you have a business page or your personal page, people always are looking for that information. And I've gotten comments from people who I didn't even know paid attention to what I was talking about, or the business that I do and that kind of stuff, that they'll call and ask questions. They'll send me text messages or private messages in those platforms as well. So doing those live videos really is beneficial. When you do them in Instagram and Facebook now too, because they work together, Facebook and Instagram do. But when you do them together, or in Instagram especially, you can add tags. And with those tags, they become very easily searchable. So for me, Salt Lake City home sellers, or real estate market, real estate agent, there's lots of different tags that you can use and apply to those, so that now they're a lot more easily searchable for people to be able to find that information. And then it goes out beyond just your clients and sphere of influence. Seller seminars with this info is awesome. Sometimes I will do just a live Q&A. And so I will advertise on my Facebook page and create an event for it. I'll spend a few dollars to boost it and get the information out there. But I've made some really great connections and gotten quite a few leads in business off of seller seminars. And so a seller seminar can be anything that you want it to be, but it's solving a problem. And so if you keep a seller seminar around solving a problem and being able to help the clients, that's naturally going to gravitate them towards you, because they know that you're able to help them and really provide that high quality of service. If you need more information and help on doing a seller seminar, I'm happy to help you, but it can be as simple as what I'm doing right now. Do a simple PowerPoint presentation, have a couple of talking points on there, and share that information, and then let them ask questions as well. And then just communicating. Nobody's going to know how much information you know and have unless we're communicating. And so the more you communicate, the more you get the information out there, the more you're going to have people starting to respond to you, both in your sphere and just in the community in general. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. Wendy, what are some of the things that you do to communicate and get the information out?
I do use Facebook quite a bit to put messages out there. And then I also make contact with my sphere of influence and previous clients and that sort of thing. I'm also trying not to have so much doom and gloom, because yeah, it's kind of a bleak landscape out there, but I feel like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy if we make our sellers think that they will be homeless. And so I
Yeah.
think it's important to put the message out there that yes, it's kind of a tough market for buyers right now, but it's not impossible. And, we don't want to spook people into not
Yeah.
listing for that reason.
No, you're exactly right. And that's what I'm realizing, that there are a lot more people out there that think, well, if I'm not going to move out of state, I can't sell my house at all. And I can't try to transition into something else. Is it going to be a little bit trickier? Yeah, it's going to be trickier just because of the nature of the market. But are there solutions available? Absolutely, there's solutions available. And that's, I think, when we're painting that picture of solutions, then that's what our job is. And so that's what our job on this page, our job as real estate agents, is to educate and problem solve. People think our job is to buy and sell houses, which
That's
which
the
it
easy
is.
part.
It used to be the easy part. But in every market, it doesn't matter. That's part of the reason that when I started real estate, I loved being in real estate, was because of every transaction comes with something different. The foundation is the same. Trying to buy or sell a property is the same. But the people that come with each transaction, the things that come up with each transaction, and I don't want to call them problems because they're not always problems. Sometimes they're just talking points. Sometimes they're hurdles. Sometimes they're big and sometimes they're little. But what matters to one person could really care that the paint is green, and this person thinks I'll paint that tomorrow morning. Though it just really, it's kind of like reality TV. Reality TV is so successful because you have the same concept, but when you introduce different people and different personalities into it, it's always different and you never know what you're going to get. And that's how I feel about real estate, is that it's always keeping us on our toes, just out of the nature of working with different people and different combinations. But then you throw in the economics of things, and you throw in the market of things, and the changes and the ebbs and flows. And it just is never a dull moment. So you're absolutely right that buying and selling is the easy part of it. That's the easiest way to make our jobs look easy. But our job as real estate agents really is to educate and to problem solve. And sometimes we problem solve by educating. But I think really, if they know that they have an advocate in us as their real estate agent, and we're by their sides to get them through this process smoothly, rather than dictating to them or painting them in a corner or letting them navigate it themselves, that's where the successes really do happen. There are lots and lots and lots of people who have house goals and they just don't know how to accomplish them. And that's not a new concept in this market. I think that it's a little more significant in this market just because it is a little bit trickier. But there's always people who have different goals and just don't know how to get there. And if they realize that they have a pathway in us to guide them through and help them accomplish those things, then we have an opportunity to serve more people and also to better the industry as a whole, and show them that you are the right person to help them problem solve and protect them. If we can be good problem solvers, and like I just said, we can stand by their side and help them navigate this stressful situation. No matter what market we're in, buying and selling a house is stressful. Moving is stressful. The whole transaction, the monies, the job, the credit, everything, every part of it is stressful. But when you have an advocate by your side, it makes things that much easier. And that's it. We kind of did Q&A along the lines. And I think, Wendy, you're already in the Facebook group. Hi, Kelly. And you're in there too. So if you are not a part of our Facebook group, and I'll just put in here again too, for those who are watching the replay, go ahead and do R for replay and tell us what market you're in. We'd love to see where everyone is represented at. And then feel free to join our real estate listing mastermind Facebook group. That's where we do all of our free trainings. That's where we collaborate together with one another to really become one in this. I know that real estate a lot of times is looked at as competitive and competition, and everybody wants the listings, but because of the nature of us all being in different markets, we really can support and serve each other and help us become better agents, become better marketers, better the industry as well, and all of those things along the lines. We also are on Instagram under Real Estate Listing Masters. And then we've got our Facebook or our YouTube channel that's Real Estate Listing Masters as well. So we're on multiple platforms, but our Facebook page really is the hub of where everything is at. So this this replay will be posted in the Facebook group. So you can access it there as well. But thanks for joining us. And sorry, I was looking really fast. I want to look and see because I think we have 5 Thursdays. Yep. Okay, so our next training is going to be on Thursday, May 6th. But maybe y'all can help me brainstorm on here really fast. I wanted to do something fun for a 5th Thursday. Anytime we have a 5th Thursday thrown in there, just because it's a random time and it makes it seem like a lot more in between time. I was wondering if there would be benefit and value in just an open Q&A or doing a training out of the coaching program. What do you guys think?
I don't know. This is the first one I've ever attended, so I'm still kind of a newbie to your program. So I'm not sure.
So what are some things around listing and marketing listings that you feel like you could benefit from more education or information or collaboration?
Honestly, I've been doing this like 25 years, but I don't feel like I know everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I figure I tune into these things and pick up what I didn't know, but I haven't been surprised in a while.
Okay. My goal is to surprise Wendy.
I think this is a great goal and I am all in for that.
Okay. How about you, Kelly?
For listings, I think I've always just gone after, I've marketed myself as getting the most money, having the most advertising, getting the most offers. And I think I have to look at it differently because I think even if you're a brand new agent in this market, you're going to get offers on a home, on a listing. So I'm just trying to brainstorm how else can you advertise yourself to put yourself apart from somebody else. I've just been trying to rebrand myself towards this market and be more emotional, try to feed on their emotions a little bit, because even though every time it's hard to buy or sell, I think it's really hard right now. And I think if we don't address those emotions and why we're in the position we're in, it's going to hurt. So I'm trying to figure out myself just how to approach people on how differently than what I've done before.
So maybe some messages just around, I mean, I know exactly what you're saying, and that's, I feel like, I mean, I've had several people that are like, oh, I don't need this training right now. Everything sells overnight. And it's absolutely true. And that's kind of what makes things a little bit difficult, but there's always more. And I think you alluded to the fact that in this market, in any market, when you have your processes and your marketing and your pieces in place, you're going to be able to reach the sellers. You're going to be able to appeal to them, get them engaged. And I know that there's a couple of areas that people really struggle the most. Number one is seller engagement and involvement, especially when a seller thinks, well, I know everything. There's a lot of people who do cold calling to for sale by owners. And that's a big hurdle in that area of sellers and getting business is I can do it myself type of thing, but really showing the value that, hey, let me handle this for you. I'll take the stress and the worry off of your plate, even in this type of a market. But then all of your marketing pieces, when your marketing is lined up and in tune, you're naturally going to sell that property for more money. You're going to have more people who are genuinely interested in it, and they're going to stick with their offers rather than going, what did I just do? Did I spend too much money on a crappy property? That kind of stuff. It's really about lining up all of those pieces so that when you're on launch day is really closer to the end of the process for a listing agent than it is the beginning. People think that's all we do is, we put it online, but it's everything leading up to that. So all of that is to be said that yes, anybody can sell a house in this market. But the number one thing that we have to remember is that unless you get a cash offer, and that cash offer is going to get you exactly everything that you want, we have to worry about an appraisal. And so then we're trying to line up all of the pieces to really appeal to an appraiser. Number one is the buyer, because they're going to be the first one that decides, yes, it's worth it to me and I'm going to offer X, Y, and Z. But then number two, and it's a very close second, is that appraiser, because we also want to line those things up as close as we can to not have to go back and renegotiate or cancel the contract, et cetera, et cetera. So my message to a lot of my sellers has been exactly that, is that we need to get your house ready to sell and we need to talk to the appraiser, rather than, you know, yes, it can sell overnight, but putting these pieces into place to be able to talk to the appraisers through picture, through videography, through comments, through the listing pieces and processes. It's an intimidating thing for a lot of people, even agents, to think that they're going up against appraisers, and especially for sellers, just because everybody thinks that appraisers are like the gatekeeper of the process, and they kind of are when somebody doesn't have flexibility. Right now we're seeing everybody have flexibility and being able to pay more cash and that kind of stuff.
You know, that would actually be a really good idea for you to do a training, is preparing for appraisal, and like, so have people learn about special things for VA or FHA loans, and if you can prevent any appraiser required repairs, that'd be nice. And having comps on the table that would help the appraisers find comps that support the sales price you have. I think that would actually be extremely helpful with us having this new territory where we're having appraisals coming in lower at sales price than sales price.
Right. And that's like in a lot of the things, and I have this conversation with my sellers all the time too, is that like, yeah, we can be as aggressive as you want to be. Your house 9 times out of 10 is going to get offers on it. But now we have to get past the appraisal too. And so, you know, all of those things that we're going to do to overcome those hurdles. I love what you said about the FHA and VA. I used to have a list, and I'm wondering if it's been updated. Probably not, because it's FHA, but I'll have to look for that list again, of, you know, the top things that an appraiser needs to pay attention to. And so like the peeling paint, different code items, railings, and all that good stuff that could come up that sellers can fix ahead of time.
Right. So when I do a listing, one of the things I do is walk through with them, and I look for things that would be called out on an FHA appraisal, because I feel like if the house doesn't have any of those things, it tends to go more smoothly. And if nothing else, the buyers don't have to pay the callback fee for them to go double check that the repairs were made.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Okay. There's so many topics we can talk about around appraisals too. I'm just writing down a couple of notes, things that came to the top of my head. Because I think there's also a lot to be said for preparing for the appraisal when you list the property, like getting the house ready to list and preparing, but then also preparing for the actual appraisal, the appraiser to come, because there's, you know, you should treat the appraisal appointment almost like your first showing. Turn on the lights, freshen everything up. You know, just make sure everything's in line and in order for the appraiser to come and have that amazing experience. Okay. So I see, now I'm trying to remember. I already had a topic picked out for the next one, but maybe I will, I'll look at it and I'll see, and I'll announce that soon. And then I'll figure out something fun to do for the 5th week, because it only happens, I think, usually 4 times a year that we would have an extra thing, but it could be fun to just come together and have some type of a brainstorming session or help session, or just an actual training too. So thanks. Any other questions?
No, sorry I was late.
Oh, it's fine. I'll put the recording, I'll get it edited and put up probably tomorrow. So
Sounds good.
you can jump in and I'll have the slides on there and stuff too. So
Thank you.
okay. Thanks, ladies.
Thanks. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
You too. Good luck out there. Bye.
See ya.